Cool, talk to me, sis.
Well, I'm here because the one thing that concerns me about City College is teachers' attitude towards students of color. I've noticed firsthand, not directly towards me, but towards other classmates of mine, that teachers sometimes have this kind of tendency to have a very condescending tone, especially to students of color. And while I have not me personally been a victim of this, I think it is something that teachers perhaps should be they should be talked to about because we're all here to learn. We all have different education levels. It's nobody's fault. It's nothing that nobody should be looked down upon because ultimately we're here because we want to be more educated, not because we want to stay with the status quo. Some of us, perhaps are better prepared to take on calculus or are placed into a higher level English course. That doesn't make anybody better. That doesn't make anybody more, superior. It just means you were lucky enough for whatever reason, or I personally think you should take that as a blessing, as something you should not take for granted because you are fortunate enough to have a higher comprehension of English or math. And I think teachers need to recognize that although not all students place into the same level of English or math, that doesn't make them inferior. That doesn't make them targets of oppression. That doesn't make them targets for condescending. And I think teachers really need to be aware that perhaps if this was a school with prestige and Ivy League like Harvard, maybe there'd be better grounds for that type of condescending attitude or that type of higher expectations. But I think deep down, I think a lot of teachers do mean well, and they're willing here not just to do it solely for the paycheck, but also to help these students who really do need help in math and English. And it saddens me that some teachers, have this arrogance or this pride or this sense to look down on students when really a lot of it isn't their fault. Maybe they come from a low income community where they didn't have the same educational opportunities. Personally, I come from, Lowell High School, one of the most prestigious high schools in California, the best ranked public high school in San Francisco. And, I don't take that for granted. I take it as a blessing, as something I've been very fortunate to have, fortunate that I place into very high level English and math. But I also recognize that not everyone does, and instead of looking down on these students, teachers should be there as guides, as support systems, as encouragement, not to deteriorate them, saying, you have a long way to go, you're ignorant, you're stupid, you're not talented, you're a waste. Teachers should never have that kind of attitude towards students. They should be accepting of everyone's education level, and ultimately they should be the ones to get them out of that education level, not to keep them there or further discourage them from pursuing higher education, because really we all want the same thing, which is prosperity, success, and happiness. And teachers, I'm not saying all, because there are some great teachers here on campus who are so loving, so caring, so genuine with their students, while on the other hand there are a select few, and I think it would just benefit teachers as a whole to this be brought up to their attention, that some students have felt very discouraged by their professors. And in that type of environment, it's not very nurturing, it's not very encouraging for someone to, even want to attend class. So if teachers can just, be open with their students, they don't have to baby them, they don't have to, be their mothers, but at least be respectful and be appreciative that they're here. You gotta applaud them for at least being here, because a lot of people don't even go to City College anymore because of all the accreditation and all the, trouble that's been brought up in the media. But personally, that's all I think it's one of the biggest issues. Teachers just need to be more aware, more sensitive, and more respectful towards their students, because if I personally didn't feel respected by a teacher, I wouldn't want to go to that class, and not going to that class isn't going to help me. The teacher will regardless get their paycheck, but it should not be about a paycheck. It should be about actually seeing the growth and development and the change positively in a student. So that's what I have to say, and I hope something is done.
Next.